Round 2, week 6, season 22, final week of the season. So we're 0-1 right now. You can see I've already dropped 2 attacks. I think my opponent borrowed a lot of things from this round. There's a couple of interesting things to try, but my opponent also does not have a Nihilist, so and this may be hubris, but I assume I've won. And I tested a couple things, so I dropped 2. We'll see, maybe that was a mistake, because this person could definitely bamboozle me, but who knows. But otherwise, they have Starjammers in 1, New Mutants in 2, an interesting Phoenix Force comp in 3 with Riot and Executioner. I was debating running something similar, and it kind of works the way I thought it would, but it was actually better than I thought it was, which is bad for me, but we'll talk about that. So this is a pretty interesting one. Then Symbiote 6 with Blue Marvel. This could have been a 5 red, but I guess this individual hasn't finished the tower yet. And this is only going to get trickier as Quicksilver gets bigger, because this team is pretty good. So yeah, Blue Marvel, Symbiote 6. Then another interesting one with Daring Warriors and Mighty Storm. Storm here is, you know, other than just more damage, she actually breaks the best counters here, which involve Thunderstrike and Blastar, because you also bring Quasar for immunity, and Storm being here basically means immunity is going to get decayed. You're also going to be silenced, so this is an interesting choice, even though it's very expensive, because it kind of breaks Exalted X-Men, which you'll see over in 6. They put the Remnants over here with Sus, but this team is not good. Like, there's some interesting things you could do here to compensate for Storm, but she does so much of the heavy lifting that, and the rest of the team is pretty slow. So this isn't by any means free, but it definitely makes this combo way harder. And if it forces a dropped attack no matter what, then this might be worth it. But it's still an interesting choice. So you already know I dropped 2. You don't know where I dropped them, so let's find out. Alright, starting with stage 1. So this is one of the rooms where I did not need to do this attack, but I wanted to see how this variant of Starjammers does, because this is the version without Lalandra, which in theory is easier. So I wanted to try kind of basically the cheap, you know, Emma X, Captain Britain, and then 3 nerds, see how that goes. I got some really bad RNG here, so you know, you can clearly see that it went very poorly, but also Captain Britain did some weird stuff that made this even worse. So I think he's bugged. There's just been a lot of like, huh, why didn't he stun over here, that I've noticed over a couple of attacks, but today it was pretty glaring. So anyway, so Breaker goes first here, which is not the best thing, because you don't really care about these two. You know, in a perfect world, you'd be off the stun here, so, you know, maybe instead of Sable here, this needs to be a Songbird, but I didn't have her today, and then you can just... Actually, yeah, Songbird would be infinitely better, because you can get off the taunt, and then just do other stuff. Honestly, you could probably bring Big Time here, because Lalandra isn't here, so you can actually get speed up, I think. So anyway, yeah, you know, hindsight, I could have probably made this a little bit better. Sable's not 100% needed here. But then she gets to go. I did the special here because I really didn't want to kill Groot early. Havoc goes, and now here's a bad RNG. He just straight up one-shots my Old Man Logan, which means now I'm down a very important character plus a stun. Emma, we still ability block Howard. Obviously, these Havoc pings are hurting. I can't tell how big he is. The UI thing is not working again. Sam goes. So here is it here? No. Okay, so Howard does his basics, so now they all get offense up. Well, they already have it, I guess, and with Disrupt, they're not going to get it. But anyway, so here's the weird thing. So, I really wish I could bring up the UI. So, I do the ultimate, and I'm just going to 1x this one here, because I figured, oh, maybe the stun gets resisted. But there's no resist pop-up, nothing. He just doesn't seem to even try to stun. So instead of him dying and pings going away, my guy just gets counterattacked to death. So he's gone. So that was kind of weird. So yeah, bad RNG on my Logan, but also Captain Britain. He just doesn't seem to stun anymore. So at this point, things are definitely getting weird. I went with Howard here because if he takes a turn, I'm in trouble because he's got really bad abilities. Then Sable gets to do her ultimate. Figured I would kill Sam here, but maybe Havoc was the right choice. Then he gets to go and he stuns. I guess some good RNG there, because if he had stunned on Breaker, maybe I just straight up lose this. Boop. Almost kills Groot there, so I don't know if that would have been a good or a bad thing. But yeah, now it's a 1v2, but luckily Breaker is insane. So he does his ultimate, and then he just dies through the Raider proc. So yeah, you know, clearly this type of attack can still work. I could have made it better with not Sable but brought like a Songbird. But yeah, Captain Britain not controlling one of them is actually really bad, because bringing MX and Captain Britain is not, you know, the strongest duo to stop them, so I only really have 3 characters to actually kill them with. If Old Man Logan dies, you only have 2 characters, and without one more stun to control pings and stuff, this gets really bad. So I'm assuming it's a bug. I'll see if I can find the previous clips of him not stunning and, you know, send in a report to see what's up. But let's move on. Stage 2, not going to bother showing this. The usual thing, it's New Mutants versus Damon. Damon wins. Moving on to 3. So this one is very interesting. If you look at it here, it looks fairly standard. But you'll see that the turn bonus is worse than usual. Health also a little bit more. So this is an interesting comp, and yeah, one that I can't remember if I even set this version or a different version. At some point I'd set this and maybe I changed it, but yes, what is interesting about this is, you know, it's 2 fast characters that go before, what is it, Magneto. So you have 3 attacks to sustain with Daring Warriors. So Mummy is always the good choice here, because your team can still die 2 damage before they go, because there's too many unblockable attacks here. So let's look at this together. So, and there's some nuance here as well with what happens. So Toxin, so fun thing about him, he gains offense up, he'll stun the primary target, do good damage, but it'll focus a controller here, autopilot. So this is guaranteed to hit Thrasher, basically. And Thrasher can be stunned, but obviously Eclipse is going to flip that when she goes. And then Magneto ultimate is on, you know, can't be blocked. Now Executioner can be blocked, so his damage usually doesn't matter, but let's see what happens. So Toxin does this. So on his own, he doesn't do too much damage. You see, like, he didn't break the barrier, he just, you know, applied a few bleeds. Nobody really cares. The problem is that since he's stunned, he doesn't block. You can't block when you're stunned. So what happens here is, my Thrasher here ended up with the lowest health and almost died. And this is a 5 diamond Thrasher. So this is kind of a sneaky thing that, you know, I was planning on setting this myself because the turn order just makes sense. Like, you know, 2 fast attacks before Magneto is always bad. But I didn't realize just how much damage a Thrasher would take because he's stunned. So that was kind of a variable that I'd missed. So yeah, if this guy was not 5 diamond, I was done, basically. I'm a little surprised that Mummy didn't end up the lowest health, but maybe my Mummy's a little too big. But yeah, combination of, actually I guess, because Executioner hits everyone for the same value, and he's already gotten hit a little bit by Execution, not Execution, by Riot, but he had Barrier. So yeah, anyway, if Thrasher ends up the lowest health, he's just gonna die, is the TLDR. And then Magneto goes, so as long as we survive this, we're fine, but, you know, very, very spooky. But now, luckily, Eclipse gets to go, so we get to do our own thing. So she specials, clears all the debuffs and buffs, heals him up a whole bunch. Now Thrasher, I think for this one I made him a skirmisher, because I keep wanting to guarantee vulnerables rather than relying just on Raider procs. So, and also technically skirmisher is more damage than Raider if Raider doesn't crit. Which is some nuance. So like skirmisher is still more guaranteed damage than Raider. It's just that Raider, if you crit and if you get procs, will end up being more damage. So anyway, we do this, which gives us 2 vulnerables on Omega Red. And the reason why this is important in this room is because this is room 3, so this ability block is not going to stick. So he basically has to die. If he doesn't die, he will take a turn and things can go south real quick. And they already kind of did. So, but yeah, this gives my Omega Red. The 2 vulnerables give my Daredevil an ISO with 2 vulnerables to hit into, so he hits really hard and basically sets him up for a kill. This Phoenix also took way more damage than usual, probably because usually Phoenix is not next to Omega Red, so Eclipse also hitting into her did a bunch of damage. So yeah, usually this doesn't happen. And actually this is bad positioning for me, because once Thrasher goes, speed bar's on the table, and you'll see why that gets weird, because I kill these two, which, you know, great. I also kill him, great. So I'm in a good position now. I still need more coffee. But the fact that she specials here gives Magneto speed bar, and he doesn't care about the blind because this is unavoidable. So what happens is my entire team is now blinded for 2 turns. This guy resisted, I guess, but this basically, these 7 extra turns are because of this turn, because I just can't get damage out. So, you know, we do the ultimate, no damage. It heals, which is good. I do the special, nothing, but I get some buffs. And, you know, Speedball Basic, that one works because he didn't, what is it? He did not get blinded. Why did I not? Oh yeah, I can't do the ultimate because of the Magneto ultimate, which takes away some of my energy, I thought because Eclipse gives it back though that I should be able to. Anyway, that's fine. Daredevil can hit because he doesn't care about blinds, but you know, as you can see, they're just taking a whole bunch of turns, doing a bunch of damage that normally you wouldn't care about. So luckily he fell over to the bleeds, and now it's just 2 more turns to kill Phoenix. So yeah, this is an interesting one because a smaller Daring Warriors can just straight up die, or if that toxin was bigger, my Thrasher straight up dies. So that's something interesting to consider, where if you see a big Riot and a big Toxin and big Executioner, Daring Warriors might actually just straight up fail, and maybe Dormammu is the better choice to bring for that, but then if Executioner kills you, you're not reviving. Actually, Toxin is also permakill. So yeah, so this is a very interesting comp that can make even a big Daring Warriors fail. So tread with caution. Moving on to stage 4. So this one was another attack that I didn't really need to do this one, but I was interested to see if I could do a little bit of limit testing. So the whole idea here is, you know, it's Fantastic Four to stop their speed stat. Shadow King is generally good with them because a lot of ultimates, and then Oath because speed bar is on the table and she gets to do 1 more attack. So I did this one a bunch in War, and I could tell that it was very iffy even there. Like, yes, it worked, but usually it didn't kill everyone, so you kind of had to eat a couple of attacks. So I was not super expecting this one to work, or if it did work, I'd expect it to be like very dirty. But yes, it also didn't work. And the main difference is because in CC, on defense, characters get an extra 20% health and 10% damage. So, you know, what works in War, as you may have heard me say before, is not guaranteed to work in Crucible. So I don't know if I could have played this differently, but ultimate from Franklin, which, you know, still leaves 1 taunt on him because he decays by 2 and he has 3, but the basic, because of the assist combo, will flip it, and that's gone. So now we go all in on Blue Marvel. This is the one attack I'm like, this was kind of a waste. I didn't need to hit Blue Marvel. Like he just heals everything up, so I should have just hit this trio here instead, because that was kind of pointless, but I just wanted to make sure that I hit Quicksilver, because I definitely don't want him taking a turn. Then Invisible Woman goes, do the ultimate on Blue Marvel. Boop. So there goes Quicksilver, great. The problem is though, especially because of this room and all the bleeds getting transferred, like he slurps all that up for healing. So part of the reason why this failed is because it took me so many extra turns to kill Blue Marvel. See, he kind of barely didn't die there, so now it's just kind of like, well, I have to kill Blue Marvel, so I've run out of attacks to control the other team. You'll see he bleeds out, luckily. Like that, this could have gone way worse. I think if he had gone there, my entire team dies, and then this would have been way harder. So yeah, especially when Quicksilver gets bigger, like this attack just will not scale. There's other things that you can do here, but again, I kind of wanted to see if I can get away with something not exactly cheap, but There's definitely other things you can bring here to make this safer, but again, I was kind of curious to see if I could get away with it. Also, Human Torch at this point is kind of a weak link because he's just so weak. I also haven't made him G21 because I can't spare that. I don't feel like it's worth it. And he's an old stack character, so making him G21 is a lot more damage, which I'm missing here. But I just don't want to spend bio on him when the new team coming out is also bio. But yeah, they take a bunch of turns. I'm debuffed to shit. I was hoping that here that I could kind of reset with the Shadow King ultimate, which, you know, gives me a little heal, a little cleanse, but they're so healthy. And Riot still being alive means that it's almost impossible for me to kill them. But he also hits really hard for a tank. So yeah, bleeds going back and forth. But yeah, with Null doing his special as well, this is over. I mean, this was over like 4 turns ago. So yeah, Fantastic Four versus Symbiotes generally doesn't work. You'll probably kill a few characters, but not all of them. And this, I mean, it already doesn't work, but it will definitely not work even more with Quicksilver stats. So just don't do this. Do something else. Stage 4, not going to show the cleanup here. You know, it's, well, actually I will because it's funny, or one part of it, it's funny. So Insidious can just easily handle this. Noble Marvel is just 3 of them, and these guys do damage. The reason why it's funny is because Null does this, and Riot does another basic, and they both decided to hit into Scorpion, so I also lost some efficiency there, which is, you know, just kind of silly. But anyway, the rest of this, we'll just play it out since we're watching this, but it's what you would expect. I get to take a bunch of turns, and they don't. I mean, and again, hindsight, but maybe Green Goblin Classic? Actually, would he have gone? I think actually he might not have gone ahead of them anyway. I don't think he gets enough speed bar with this setup. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, we were just kind of testing some stuff, and if somehow I lose, whatever. This whole season has been kind of weird, so I don't really care. Let's put it that way. Moving on to stage 5. So this is the other interesting comp. You know, very expensive to do, but it does. I mean, for now, force a drop. Although I think I know what I needed to do here differently to make this one work. But yeah, at this point, monster daring warriors are already a problem, and adding Storm in means some of the better counters don't work anymore because she will, you know, decay immunity on everyone. Plus, you know, it's extra damage, and you'll see why that's problematic. So the whole idea here was, you know, can I just get an Odin carry, which means I have to kill Thrasher, or this just straight up doesn't work. So you can see here, just the passive ping from Eclipse just did a whole bunch of damage because he's a protector. Actually, she does that on the protector with the highest speed. Highest speed, yes. So I guess you could technically bring another protector that's 128 plus to eat this instead of Mephisto. I don't know if there's any good options there though, so just something to think about. Then Storm goes, and as you can see, a lot of damage. So this Mephisto is not long for this world, you know, nor is Blade. Jeff ultimate is really good because it ignores the barrier because it's percent health for whatever reason and just actually does damage on them. Then he gets to go, and he brings everyone together, doesn't do too much damage. And now here's the problem, like there's RNG with who is Eclipse gonna hit, and you know, she's hitting Blade and Mephisto, which are the 2 worst targets. So I immediately lose 2 characters that I need to be able to kill this guy, so this attack is immediately just over. So there's other things you can do here that you can bring to guarantee Mephisto survives, because as long as Mephisto, Sentry, and Odin survive, this should be fine. The other problem here is I got the bad RNG with, you know, Odin. Well, if I'd done the Odin basic here, then Sentry couldn't special because he would clear the battlefield effects. So, you know, I got some really bad RNG here, but this attack is also very expensive and also needs very specific things to happen. Plus, need to tweak a couple of other things about it. So yeah, this is a very fun counter, or or not counter, this is a very fun team, very expensive because it also costs you Storm, and Storm is kind of super duper required for Exalted to be a good team. So at least she died here, but you know, the rest is not going to go very well for me. You're going to see now it's just a ton of damage that comes through. Especially with Speedball, when he goes, he's just going to give them speed up, so they're just going to go way faster than me, and Odin is not guaranteed to survive because he's way too far behind, and he has a slow, so yeah, there's no way he was ever surviving this. But at least we soaked out a bunch of stuff, and boop. So that was it. So let's just go straight into the cleanup. I don't even remember what I did. Some immortal weapon thing, probably. Looks like my opponent is also going. Whoops, no. So yeah, I think I did this yesterday too. Immortal weapon after a sack, I guess, on during Warriors is pretty reliable. Although you'll see here it was still a lot of damage. So Quasar ultimate is just unblockable, so it's good to bring. Plus they have exhaust now, so they're just taking a bunch of extra damage. Eclipse goes just a basic. Lady Bullseye is also unblockable, so she does a lot of really good damage. She actually, can we see it here? She might actually be a good alternative character to bring on her own when trying to kill. Yeah, because she's got 200% accuracy, so she also doesn't care about eclipses, full moon, or whatever. So this could be a good option. I just don't know. She's got good health. Yeah, she should be pretty survivable. Maybe you bring her. I guess I don't know who you'd swap in, because Blade is probably still more damage because he does percent health, but she's not guaranteed, but she's more likely to survive against a big eclipse if you get bad targeting RNG. So anyway, something to think about. And then yeah, a lot of basics. They're all going into the pre-taunt, which is good. Here he barely doesn't get pushed, unfortunately. So no healing, and then this ultimate goes boop. Now we heal, but also because of how this ability works, the heal goes out, but then he gets stunned because Speedball ultimate, what is it? Just decays a bunch of stuff, doesn't it? Speedball, Crucible, reduced duration of safeguard. Yeah, so I got a little unlucky with when he was pushed, but because he was pushed by the damage before the stun applied, he still gets to do a heal, and then he goes down. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm never gonna lose this fight, because once you get to Swordmaster, it's usually over, because he just takes everything away and does a ton of damage. So just go through the motions here. A couple of attacks. Boop. And one more. Who gets it? Lady Bullseye. Special. So yeah, easy cleanup. And finally, stage 6. This is definitely overkill. Like I didn't need Thunderstrike and Blast Eye here. I could have easily used them against Starjammers and done something else here, because I could have just brought Captain Britain in here for the safety of, stopping Sus forever and stopping her passive forever. So I could have definitely made something cheaper here, because Professor X would have done really the heavy lifting. But yeah, but you saw I wanted to try something else in room 1. But this is definitely overkill, because Exalted without Storm lose a lot of their bite. Like Morph will still stop Speed Bar, Speed Stat, and Anti-Emma, which is great, but the rest are really slow, not a lot of damage, so I don't know if this would ever lose to anything, to be honest. But it's a good use of the leftovers, I guess, so why not? There's probably ways, you don't have to put Sus here. You could probably put something else here that might make this a lot trickier. So we keep doing. So yeah, Morph goes. He hits into Thunderstrike. I actually did not consider who would eat the Morph special. I should have made someone else here a skirmisher to absorb that safely, but he didn't get one shot, so that's fine. How big? So my guy's 4 diamond. How big is the Morph 2 diamond Morph? So yeah, 3 diamond plus. That may have been worse because he got pretty low before he healed up with the passive. But anyway, Executioner on Angel, just so we can ability block him so that he stops doing his silly stuff. But as you can see, people are already falling over. Then I do an ability block over here. Professor X special on Morph. So basically the fight is over already. So that's what I'm saying, like, he would carry on his own. I didn't need this giant cast around him, but it's kind of what I had left over by the time I got here, so I just overkilled it. But yeah, this not a great room. Probably an efficiency sink depending on what you bring in here, but I'll be surprised if this loses to any kind of like a reasonable attack. So that was it. My opponent seems to be very slowly attacking me now, so I'll splice in if they manage to beat me, because so far they've done 2 interesting attacks, so I still think they have the tools to win this if they know what to do against my Nihilus. So let's check it out. Alright, final score. My opponent did not clear my my Nihilus. But they did really well outside of that. They went with good counters, had a really good showing, but yeah, Symbiote 6 Annihilus needs very, very specific things that are also size dependent. So, you know, in some cases if you didn't get a lucky diamond orb, then you can't really do reliable counters, and then it kind of all goes to shit. So, GG's to my opponent, they did well, but, you know, not having an Annihilus in this day and age is a very big disadvantage, so I think they did the best they could. But otherwise, you know, at least I get 1 win here, and I think tomorrow I get a free one because both players in the bracket were banned, so we'll probably just get to test a bunch of shit, which should be interesting, so we'll see you then.